Hi, just a quick video to let you know that Seiko's quality control is outstanding, but they might not be a watch brand that you are particularly interested in buying. I'll tell you more about both on the other side of the intro. Hi, welcome back to Not So Obvious Watches. I'm Pete McConville, and I've noticed a lot of shaking of the fist and raising of pitchforks and firebrands around the Seiko brand recently. People decrying their quality control, people wondering why people like me would buy something that's quite clearly such a failure of quality control. And I think that needs to be answered because there's so many misconceptions and so many prejudices and so many misunderstandings built into that argument that I just think that if we just grasp the reality of the situation, you're not going to want to buy a Seiko, but at least you might not be so angry about it, and people might let the frustration calm down, because I think there's a lot of people sitting around thinking that their frustration and their anger is going to make Seiko hire some more inspectors or, improve a machine here or there. And I'm here to tell you, it's not going to make any difference. Seiko don't care. Let's start with what is quality control. Quality control is very simple. It is simply the process of checking a product to make sure it complies with the company's specification. You've got an accuracy specification of, say, plus a minute, minus a minute per day, and your watch comes in at plus 45. Great. You've met your standard. Let it go through. Having that go through is not a failure of quality control. You think that it's perfectly okay for a watch bezel to be 3 degrees out of alignment and yours is coming in at 2 degrees? Go for your life. Put that product out there and sell it. That is not a failure of quality control. The product met the company's quality standards. The difficulty here is their quality, not their quality control, but their quality, their values aren't reflecting yours. And that's not going to be solved by hiring a few more inspectors or by getting a new machine here or putting a new factory in there. That's fundamental. And that, if you can get that through your head and understand that someone might care about a watch in a completely different way to you, set the quality bar at a completely different point in a completely different way, then you might start understanding why Seiko is the way it is and why people still buy it. Let's start with the idea of just what is a watch. Now, the simple thing is, the obvious thing is, a watch has a movement, and it has a case, and it then has some hands, and then it has a dial, and then it's got some furniture like indices and the bezel, and then we throw some accessories on it like a bracelet. But is that all we pay for? Of course it's not. We also pay for things like the design of the watch and the finishing of the watch. But that's not even all a watch is. A watch is all of this. It's originality and its authenticity and its integrity and its wearability and its longevity and its reliability and its serviceability and the materials it's made of, the specifications, the way it feels on your wrist, the way it makes you feel when you see it in the watch box. All of that page is what a watch is. All of that page is what you are buying when you buy a watch. And here's the key. There is no correct balance of any of those things. Some of those things actually run counter to each other. One of the things that some people buy when they pay for when they buy a watch is predictability, that I know what I'm going to get because it's the same as it's been for the last 50 years. What some other people want to buy is originality, novelty. They want to buy something they've never seen before. Those are two diametrically opposed things. A watch cannot have both. As a result, if you look at this list, it is quite possible for some people to say, what I care about is price, movement, accuracy, and finishing. You know what? I'm not that fussed if it's a direct rip-off of someone else's design. I'm not that fussed if there's zero history in this watch and it's come from some Chinese mushroom brand. I don't care. Make it cheap, finish it well, make it pretty accurate. I'm good. You know what? That is fine. That is absolutely legitimate. There could be other people who then, when you fire up that same list of possibilities, say the single most important thing for me is the design of the watch. It's got to look great, and it's got to have history, and it needs to have authenticity, and there needs to be some originality. That's what I'm looking for in a watch. Those two people, equally dedicated to this hobby, equally dedicated to this craft, walk in with fundamentally different values, fundamentally different ideas of what even makes a watch and why they would bother buying it. And Seiko definitely doesn't have the same circles on that chart as many of you. They've made it clear, both through their behavior and what they tell us, that they just don't care that much about a lot of the stuff that everyone in the internet seems to be getting so angry about. If you look, and that there's no secret here, if you go to the Seiko site, go to the Prospex brand, fire up the little paragraph that tells you about what Prospex is, and you'll see words like innovation, setting standard, you'll see words like safety, reliability, adventure. That's it. Nothing about precision, nothing about fine finishing, nothing about wonderful fit, nothing about exclusivity. That is not Seiko. That is not what they're here to do. If you think that that's what you're buying when you buy your $1,000 Seiko Prospex diver, you will be profoundly disappointed because you're buying from the wrong company. And that's why I say to people that this idea of quality control versus quality is really important. It's not just words, it's about values. Seiko's values may be different to yours. Seiko's values, what they care about, what they're even going to bother specifying and looking for, may not be yours. And then once you understand that, you can let the heat of this whole thing go out. All you've got to do is shrug your shoulders and say, you know what, I've looked at what Seiko values, they're not for me. Conversely, people like myself and the people that look at Seikos and love them will say, you know what, I don't care that much that the final bit of finishing on the bezel wasn't quite done and things were slightly out of whack. We'll say, I don't care about the, whether it's plus 20 or plus 5. Who cares? I'm not going to notice 15 seconds in a day. But on the other hand, what does Seiko give me? Seiko gives me watch designs unlike any other. Seiko gives me, except for those people that have stolen Seiko designs. That's it. Seiko gives me real design, real history, real aesthetic value, real beauty, real originality. I think if you can just sort of understand that different companies have different values, that there is no absolute, this must be what a watch must be list anywhere, and that some companies will suit you and some companies won't. And there's zero point being angry at a company and expecting a company to change that doesn't service you. Because you know what? It's not all about you or I. It's great that there are companies out there with different values, with different ideals, with different aims and objectives, so that all of us, no matter who we are, can get the watches that we want. Because if Seiko did go chasing the dragon, did go chasing all of those things that people want them to have, that fine last piece of detail, then that's going to cost. So either the watches are going to get more expensive, or they're going to slow down development. There's going to be less options, less beauty, less originality, less excitement, and more just, for God's sake, more just boring knockoffs. So I think we are better off as a community for Seiko being who they are. We're better off with Cartier being who they are. We're better off with Rolex being who they are and Breitling being who they are. But we're better off with these companies being different. Let's then stop yelling at companies to change, every company to change, to match us. Let's just accept that some companies aren't for us. And I think we'll all be happier.